All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome. It is just after 7 p.m. We're going to begin our work session now. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Town Manager Jim Maney to walk us through the agenda.
Thank you, Council President. We'll go through this work session fairly quick. It's a light agenda tonight. Go to 5 consent agenda. There's nothing there that hasn't been vetted, looked at, made sure, checked all the boxes. So I don't see anything there that, unless you want something moved to to new business, but I don't. There's really nothing there that I could see. 6 on the licenses. A is a new victualling license to Purrs Lane, right near ice cream. I guess just slipped my mind. Ice cream, Wrigley's. How could I forget that, right? So this is a license, a victualling license for Purrs Lane. I've gone by there several times. That place is always packed, by the way. 6B, special events permit to the 300th anniversary post-parade picnic at Saugatuck Park on June 17th at 12 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. 6C, a 19-hour beverage license for the 300th anniversary post-parade picnic at Saugatuck Park, same date, June 17th, from 12 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. D, it's a miscellaneous permit renewal for car parade on June 3rd, 2023, 11 a.m., the Never Done Foundation, 17 Fairport Avenue, Narragansett. E, a victualling license for Calaveras, 58 High Street, Wakefield, new license. 7A, this is a public hearing for victualler license for Butterhead, does business as Purrs Lane. So there's 3 items on here for that, 2 items for that new restaurant. 8A, amending the town's liquor license rules and regulations, and it basically spells out the number of licenses for each class, as indicated on, in our rules. I don't have anything else to, do you have anything to add on that, Susan?
That item is on there because under the public hearing, Purrs Lane is asking for a brand-new Class B victualler liquor license, and there are none available in town. So when you close the public hearing, you'll defer your decision until after you go to new business item A and determine whether you want to add a new Class BV license. And if you do, you can go back to the public hearing and award it to them if you choose.
Got it, thank you.
8B is the award of purchase to Advantage Preservation in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, for $20,975, not to exceed that amount. This is for the for newspaper digitation and digital archive services. Our library director, Laurel, is here this evening if you have any questions on that. Under 9, there'll be 2 items. Give a brief outline on the town budget referendum for June 6th. Basically talk about how we got to this point, what was required, why that date was there, what the rules will be as far as would there be absentee ballots? No, because of the time frame. Mail-in ballots? No. There'd be an emergency ballot only, and from 8A to 8P at the rec centers where the polling place would be. But I can go over more detail during the meeting on that one. As usual, 9B, we will give an update on the school building committee. There was a forum held last Saturday. Director Luke Murray's here. He's the chair of that committee, and he can go over what was accomplished. We also have several members of the school committee here as well that are sitting in the audience. 10, we'll have public comments. 11A, received a letter on April 27th from Deb Carney, a Charleston Town Council President, and Mr. Broadhead, a volunteer, requesting the appointment of a town council member to the Washington County Regional Planning Council. And I believe Mr. Marin has some interest and could bring up some discussion on that at the meeting. 11B, School Superintendent Mark Prince is here in the audience this evening and submitted a communications to the town council regarding the comment that was made that there's a $2 million excess funds in the school budget. We would respectfully request his time that it be moved forward to one of the top agenda items. As Vice President Marin is aware of it as well. 11C, resolution requested by the Tiverton Town Council seeking support for their request to the General Assembly to reinstate the general revenue sharing for Rhode Island municipalities is received. I read it based on what the surplus would be in the state. Tiverton is requesting that that money be divvied up between the municipalities, all 39 municipalities in the state. That was the communication. I believe there will be no appointments tonight, correct, Susan? No interviews or appointments. And that's it.
All right, thank you, Jim. Any questions up here? I got one right now that I'll address to you, Susan. I'll probably ask it again. What is the criteria for satisfying eligibility for emergency voting for the budget referendum?
Emergency voting is meant for people who cannot go to the polls on Tuesday.
So what do you have to show to satisfy you meet that to be able?
There's no requirement to show proof.
Of ID.
And we will also make
So,
available,
in other
if
words,
someone's at home and needs a ballot brought to them at home, we have a process for accomplishing that. There's a ballot application request form that gets filled out, and the voter would designate on that form who is allowed to pick up the ballot for them and bring it to them at home, or a nursing home, or wherever they happen to be, if they cannot get there.
So in other words, you fill out the application, and that's it?
Correct.
Okay.
People who are traveling and will not be here on Tuesday can come into the office and request to vote by emergency ballot.
All right. And I'll ask that again during the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions up here? All right, we'll take a little bit of a recess. Regular session will begin at 7:30. All right, good evening, everyone. It is just after 7:30. Today is Monday, May 22nd. We are here for our regularly scheduled town council meeting, and first order of business, as always, is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge of allegiance to the flag. All right, next on the agenda is the land acknowledgement statement, which I will read. The town of South Kingstown pays homage to the indigenous people and land on which the town is now located. Let this acknowledgement serve as a reminder of our ongoing efforts to recognize, honor, reconcile, and partner with the Narragansett tribe whose land and water we benefit from today. Next, we have the roll call, if you would, Susan.
Thank you. Council President McEntee?
Here.
Council Vice President Marin?
Here.
Councilwoman Bergner, it is noted, is absent this evening. Councilwoman Alley?
Here.
Councilwoman Rose?
I'm here. I would just like to let everybody know that I have a sick kiddo at home. I'm not feeling great myself, and I lose my babysitter at 8:30, so I will have to take off, but please know that I will absolutely be following the meeting on the YouTube screen, and if anybody has any questions or comments that they'd like to share with me, please feel free to email me with your phone number, and I will give you a phone call myself. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Susan. That's going to move us to item 4, which is approval of minutes of previous meetings.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just briefly, I'm going to ask Susan to record me as abstaining because I wasn't at the meeting.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. All right, that passes. All right. For the sake of interest from the public, at this point, we're going to move up communication item 11B, which is an email dated May 10, 2023, from School Superintendent Mark Prince regarding Doral Beasley's calculations that the school budget is $2 million in excess funds. Mark Prince, welcome. No one knows the school department's budget better than you, and I just want to make a few statements before you speak. I just want to make it clear that at all regularly scheduled town council meetings, we always have a segment designated for comments from interested citizens. At those points, we allow citizens to come up and discuss any matters whatsoever they wish to talk about, and the council does not affirm or endorse comments made by citizens that are made at the podium. Lack of response should not be interpreted as such, and I just want to make that clear. But with that said, the floor is yours, Mark, and I'm hoping you can help provide some truth to what is really going on in the school's budget. So go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, council members, and public. I'm actually not here tonight to discuss the school department's budget. Tomorrow night, we have a school committee meeting. On the agenda is the referendum and the school district's financials, and that'll be discussed there. We have had a 4-month public process, along with a 12-week vetting process that included public meetings of the school committee budget subcommittee, that included 2 meetings with the town council, that included school committee meetings. Our process for developing our school district budget has been very public and very transparent. I realize in your opening remarks you say that the council doesn't comment when the public comes up to speak. And I understand that. As a school committee, we too have that, and we too cannot comment, the school committee. And time to time, they grant me permission to make a comment to set the record straight. What I ask is that you tonight, this evening, correct the record around Mr. Beasley's school budget calculations. I ask that because their silence does communicate, directly or indirectly, acceptance. His calculations were incorrect and exaggerated. We are not hiding $2 million. We do not have a $2 million surplus in our budget. I ask that you correct the record because during your December 17th town council hearing, it was town council members who corrected the record when Mr. Beasley first brought this forward. Then town finance director took the time to publicly point out that over the past 30 years, the town and the school department has passed their annual audits and received a Distinguished Audit Award from the GFOA. External auditors examined the financial statements and found no errors. In other words, our financial statements are considered accurate, complete, and in accordance with accounting standards, DOR requirements, and RIDE requirements. I ask that you set the record straight. Currently, the public is having a values conversation, a public discourse about values. That's what a budget is. A budget is a value statement. You have people in support of one viewpoint, you have people in support of another viewpoint. We cannot have a productive exchange around a values document if we're using different facts and inaccurate facts. You can find our facts on our website. You can find our facts and hear about it at school committee meetings. You can find our facts and hear about it at subcommittee meetings. You can find our facts and hear about it on Facebook Lives that we are putting out to the community. I ask that you work to set the record straight. Finally, my communication to town council and to school committee was to encourage just that, factual information. I believe the community demands us to be accurate. I believe the community expects us. I believe the community expects our elected officials and our appointed officials to do just that. Be transparent and be accurate. Yes, we have to operate in the rules of order, but we cannot and should not let inaccuracies dictate discourse. So I ask that you set the record straight. The misinformation was said publicly, and that seal was in the background. Now we set the record straight, please. We do not have a surplus of $2 million. We are not hiding $2 million. I've never stolen anything in my life. I will not allow anyone to pass judgment on me that way or on the school department. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mark, and thank you for coming. I'll just say a few things in response here. Without a doubt, it is you, superintendent, who knows the budget best. The town council is not in a position to thoroughly understand the makeup of the school department's budget. We provide merely a property tax transfer. We sit through months of budget deliberations with you, and you provide us high-level information. But it is you, it is your CFO, it is your school committee who can speak to the substantive makeup of the school department's budget. And again, at every town council meeting, we allow members of the public to come up at a segmented area to speak on any issue they wish to address. Our lack of response or allowance of them to say whatever they like is not an endorsement, it is not an affirmation, it is merely allowing them to speak their piece. We do not endorse the financial projections of someone who comes up here and makes such assertions. I agree with you that the town's budget, which includes the school department's budget, has received unqualified opinions for the last 30 years, which speaks to the accuracy and completeness of the financial statements. But it is you who has the highest knowledge of the makeup of that budget. Again, we are not in a position to talk to the makeup of that budget. That is for you and the school committee to do that. But trying to set the record straight here, and with that respect, we do not endorse the financial projections of members of the public who come up and make such assertions. We are behind those presentations that we've deliberated with for the past few months with respect to the budget, and hopefully that provides some ease to your mind, Mark Prince, and hopefully that provides some ease to the community as to where the council is. But trying to set the record straight, wanted to give you an opportunity to come and do that. Hopefully this is helpful. Any other words from council members on this?
Beforehand, I just want to point out that on the agenda, this all comes under 11B. This exact topic is on the agenda, although it's out of order, it is under 11B, communications.
Just to give some context to the members of the public who may not be as familiar with it as the rest of us are, on May 8th, one member of the public came up to the podium during public comment at the end of the meeting. There was nothing on the agenda with respect to the budget at that point, and made an assertion that he had discovered a $2.127 million surplus in the school department budget. That's simply not true. The document he referred to is available to anybody that wants it on the school department website. The line item that is specifically stated there is available budget, and it's dated May 1, 2023. That's the amount of money that the school department has on hand through the end of the fiscal year, June 30. It's not a surplus. Surplus doesn't even happen until after the end of the year, after the end of the fiscal year, I should say. So I certainly agree with Mr. Prince, and I understand the outrage and concern about challenges to your integrity. I get that. Unfortunately, in your email, your rage is misplaced. This council didn't adopt anything in regard to his comments. There was no ill-informed support, which you accused us of. There was no endorsement, which you accused us of. And the only thing you've succeeded in doing is confusing the issue before this goes to the public on June 6th. You can disagree.
Mark, gonna speak, you
had
gotta
your
come to the
shot.
microphone.
Beyond that, I'm going to reserve the rest of my comments to the school committee itself.
Mark, before you go,
disagree.
just want to say,
Disagree.
you, as a superintendent, are effectively the CEO of the school department.
Correct, I am.
When it comes to running the day-to-day operations and the makeup of your budget and how things are looking during a duration of time, it is you who can correct the record. It is not us. As I've stated several times already, we have segmented areas of the agenda where we allow people to come up and say whatever they wish to say. Our lack of response to all such actions does not represent an affirmation of those assertions.
Your
I
lack of
cannot-
response to all those are inconsistent.
My
And there are
respo-
times when you do respond, and that was the time that the community needed you to respond.
Mark,
We may disagree on this, Mr. President, and that's fine. Where I stand on it is really clear. We do not have a $2 million surplus.
Agreed.
agreed?
Agreed.
I stand behind the financial presentations that you will make at tomorrow night's meeting to the school committee, and I encourage everyone to listen in because he is the one who knows the information better than anyone in the community. I will make that statement on the record. All right. Well, we've received this communication. Mark Prince has responded and has thus left.
Motion to place 11B on file.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No, that passes. All right, we're going to move back up to licenses. Consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. All right, that passes. It's going to bring us to item 6, licenses. A is a resolution granting a victualling license to Butterhead LLC, doing business as Purse Lane of Main Street, Wakefield, application by Matthew Brown, managing member. Matthew, come on up.
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening. So, tell us about business. How's things going?
So far, so good. Everything's going really well for us. It's progressively getting busier and busier as we go. We've been open for about a month now, and it's going really well. It's going really well. I think we've had a ton of great feedback from the town. Haven't had any issues yet with Brickley's or any sort of traffic flow or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, so far we're super excited to be in the space.
Excellent. And ramping up for summer, hoping to get that liquor license, yeah?
Exactly.
Nice.
Yes.
All right, any questions for Matt?
Not for Matt, just Susan, to reiterate, under the work, your comment under the work session, we need to defer this until after we deal with.
This right now is just their
Oh,
victualling license. The public hearing will address the liquor license application.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve 6A.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No, all right, that passes. And we'll come back to you in a minute for the liquor license.
Okay.
Just real quick, can you just let us know, what are your hours that you're open?
Right. So right now we're open from 12 to 8 during the week, and then 12 to 9 during Friday and Saturday.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Matt. All right, that's going to move us to item B, a resolution granting a special events permit to conduct the 300th anniversary post-parade picnic at Saugatucket Park on Saturday, June 17, 2023, from 12 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. to the 300th Anniversary Steering Committee, subject to administrative approvals. Application by Terry Murphy. Terry?
Good evening, Council. Yes, so the 300th Anniversary Steering Committee is seeking a special event permit for the event that will follow the parade on June 17th. It is a post-parade picnic at Saugatucket Park. The committee has consulted with all of our public safety officials and gone above and beyond in kind of planning this event so that it is safe and free and open to the public, so that after the parade, the festivities can continue into the afternoon. And the event includes a performance by the Northeast Navy Rock Band. There will be food trucks and beverages, and that's the next license on the agenda. But we're hoping for great weather so that we can have a full day of celebration on the 17th.
Excellent. Any questions for Terry?
I don't, but I just want to share that I got a text message from a good friend of mine, Chip Sampson, who is the owner of one of the owners at Shades On, and he shared with me that there will be a 300th commemorative beer
Yes.
being released. So I'm hoping that that will be made available at this event. That's a pretty cool thing to have.
That I don't know, but I do know that the local breweries, including Shades On, have been generous in supporting the 300th anniversary events, particularly this one.
Great, thank you. So I'll make a motion to approve 6. Can we do B and C together? B and C?
Sure. Do we have to read it, Mike, or no?
You could vote on both of them together.
All right, I'll read it right now. 6C is a resolution granting a Class F 19-hour beverage license to the 300th anniversary post-parade picnic at Saugatucket Park on Saturday, June 17, 2023, from 12 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. to the 300th Anniversary Steering Committee, subject to administrative approvals. Application by Terry Murphy. And now we can take up the motion.
It's a motion to approve 6, B and C.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No. All right, that passes.
Thank you very
Terry.
much.
All right, it's going to bring us to item D, a resolution granting a miscellaneous permit to conduct a car parade on Saturday, June 3rd, 2023 at 11 a.m. to the Never Done Foundation of Narragansett, subject to the execution of a hold harmless agreement indemnifying the town and issuance of a certificate of insurance naming the town as an additional insured in the amount specified by the finance director. Proceeds to benefit the Never Done Foundation for glioblastoma brain cancer. Application by Regan Dunn. Regan?
Hi, how are you?
Good, welcome. So you can tell us what this is all about?
So I was here last year, also in the month of May. I did this project as my senior project, and we're now bringing it back as an annual event through the foundation that me and my mom run. And we're just here seeking approval from the town today to get the permit approved. We have gotten RI DOT's permit as well as SK Police's approval last week, and have met with the sheriff of SK and will meet with the chief of URI Police this Saturday.
All right, sounds great. Any questions for Regan?
I just want to thank you for doing that and for taking such an interest and concern in trying to make the world better. So,
Thank you. It
well
means
done.
a lot.
Make a motion to approve 6D.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, all right, that passes. Good luck. I'm sure it's gonna be great.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, that's going to move us to item E, a resolution granting a victualling license to Calaveras LLC, doing business as Maze of High Street, Wakefield, subject to approval by the Fire Chief, Wastewater Superintendent, and RI Department of Health. Application by Liana Borisora, member.
Hello.
Hi, welcome. If you want to sort of tell us about your business?
So we've actually conducted business before in town as Calaveras, our company, but we're doing a little bit of a rebranding. So we have chosen a new spot, which is 58 High Street, and yeah, we're excited about some good food.
Nice. Can you tell us about maybe hours, menu items, sort of, you can market it a little bit right here?
Menu.
We're still figuring it out, the menu, but it'll be basically like fresh made tortillas, burritos, and stuff like that with family recipes that we had carry on for about 2-3 generations. And more a la carte type of takeout, and like we have a couple picnic tables in the back that you can sit down and eat. Pretty much it. The hours, we're still figuring it out, what hours are we gonna be operating, but definitely will be 11 to 8. We're considering have a brunch on Sundays or something like that, but still up in the air.
All right, sounds good. All right, any questions?
Do you have a targeted opening date?
Friday.
Friday.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Glad I asked.
Running out of money, so.
I drove by today and everything looked great. The door was open. I was like, slowed down, took a little peek inside. It looks really beautiful. It's just a block away from my house, so looking to pack on a couple of pounds over there.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you guys. Excited for you. I'll make a motion to approve 6E.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No, that passes. Good luck.
Good luck.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, that's going to move us to item 7, public hearing. A is a public hearing relative to an application for a license to keep and sell alcoholic beverages in South Kingstown in accordance with the general laws of 1956 as amended as follows. Class B victular liquor license, application for a Class B victular liquor license by Butterhead LLC, doing business as Purse Lane of Main Street, Wakefield, by Matthew Brown, managing member, for the indoor dining area and 14 seats on the patio in accordance with a special use permit granted by the Zoning Board of Review on March 22, 2023, and as further defined in a site plan on file in the town clerk's office. Said license is contingent upon the issuance of a certificate of good standing from the Rhode Island Division of Taxation, issuance of a certificate of insurance evidencing required liability coverage, compliance with all town ordinances and regulations, the payment of any municipal taxes, user fees, and lease payments in arrears to the town, and the correction of any fire code violations. So, Matt, welcome back up. I think we have an idea, but if you want to sort of tell us what's going on?
Thank you. So we're applying for our full liquor license in order to be able to serve, obviously, beer, wine, and a small cocktail option, a lot of pre-batch stuff. We just want to be able to offer a full experience in the space. So we've been able to use for our business. It's a beautiful space. We've been getting great feedback again. A ton of people are just, they want the whole experience, and we want to be able to offer it. And I think we have great ideas. We're very creative, and I think we can do a great job with it.
Nice. Any questions for Matt?
I believe you can do really great things with it
Thank you.
from your presentation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Matt. This is a public hearing, so we're just going to give an opportunity for anyone who wishes to speak on this item specifically to come on up. We just ask that you introduce yourself, and we'll try to limit you to 3 minutes. So if anyone interested, come on up. First come, first serve. All right, seeing none, do I hear a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No? All right, the public hearing is now closed. At this point, we're going to move over to new business item 8A, which is a resolution affirming or amending the town's liquor license rules and regulations, Section 1. The current number of licenses for each class shall be authorized as indicated below unless changed by a majority vote of the town council. So what we'd be contemplating is an increase in the number of Class B victular licenses from 29 to 30.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just a question for Susan or Mike. This is the only change that's contemplated with respect to the ordinance as it appears in the agenda, changing that one number.
That's correct. Everything else would remain exactly the same.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone want to oppose? No. All right, that passes. That's going to bring us back to item 7A.
Congratulations, guys. Look forward to joining you for
Yeah,
some
you can stay there.
cocktails.
You can stay there. All right, do I hear a motion on 7A?
Motion to approve? 7A, yes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No. All right, that passes. Matt, good luck. All right. That is now going to move us to 8, new business, item B. A resolution authorizing an award of purchase to Advantage Preservation of Cedar Rapids, Iowa, for newspaper digitization and digital archive services in an amount not to exceed $20,975, as further described in a memorandum from the library director to the town manager dated May 17, 2023, and entitled Newspaper Digitalization and Digital Archives. Laurel, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. This is pretty straightforward. The best part about it, it's grant money. So it's state grant money that would digitize approximately 30,000 pages of newspaper. And that's all on a searchable platform. I encourage everybody to go use it. A lot of good history there. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Laurel? All right, this is an easy one.
Motion to approve 8B.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No. All right, that passes.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing the work to get the grant.
All right, that's going to move us to item 9, Town Manager's Report.
Thank you, Council President. There are 2 items on the town manager's report. First will be a briefing on the town budget referendum, and I'll have the solicitor do that in just 1 minute. But I'll go over the warrant, which is the notice of the budget referendum, given all the logistics. So the budget referendum will be held on June 6, 2023, which is a Tuesday, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Community Recreation Center, 30 St. Dominic Road in Wakefield. And I'll turn over all the other items. Well, I'll just go over this as well. There'll be no mail-in ballots. There was just no time to do it. The turnaround time was just much too quick. We would not get them in time. There'll be no absentee ballots. There'll be an emergency ballot that any voting resident can pick up from the clerk's office on May 31st to June 5th at 4 p.m. And they'll be allowed to vote right in your office. Is that correct? Yes. All right, and now I'll turn it over to the solicitor to go over all the legalities of this referendum.
So as everyone knows, there's going to be a referendum on the issue of whether or not the transfer of funds to the school department should be reduced by $1.5 million. That's pursuant to a provision in the charter which permits citizens who are able to obtain at least 200 valid signatures on a budget referendum that can take place after the town council votes on its final budget. So in effect, you voted on a final budget that you've adopted. However, the charter says the adoption of your final budget is subject to any referendum that might come pursuant to the provisions of the charter, which, as I say, allow individuals to either add or decrease money from the budget that you adopt. In this case, the referendum asks whether or not there should be a decrease in those funds. If the referendum fails, then the budget that you've adopted stays the same. We move on. If the referendum is successful, it means that 1.5 million will have to be removed from the budget, and in effect, the tax rate would come down a little bit to make up for that 1.5 million. There were questions put to me as to whether or not, if the referendum passed, whether or not those funds could be held in a reserve account or put into the general fund. Under your charter, that is not allowed. You would actually have to reduce the budget as determined by a successful referendum and reduce the tax levy. So I did a very involved 3-page memo on this with all the legality, but in summary, that's basically what it all says.
All right, thank you, Mike. Let's have a follow-up question for you. I think it's detailed in your memo as well. In the event the budget referendum passes and the school department files suit against the town and is successful in that, how do we make up the excess monies to make up the deficiency?
Sure. So there are a number of ways. If, in fact, the school department brings suit, and there are various provisions under state law in which they could bring such a suit, there are various ways that those monies could be raised. Number one, you as a town council could decide to take it out of your so-called surplus funds. Number two, as part of any lawsuit, a judge may impose a tax increase on town residents, and under that scenario, you'd have to send out a supplemental tax bill. But that's only if there's success in any. Number one, a suit would have to be brought, and number two, that suit would have to be successful.
Got it. Now, I also want to ask, and I think this is addressed to Susan Flynn, the eligibility for emergency voting. Can you speak to that?
Thank you, Council President. Under the town charter, emergency ballots are provided for in a manner to be determined by the Board of Canvassers. The Board of Canvassers wanted to make it available that people who cannot get to the polls on Tuesday are able to come into the town clerk's office between Wednesday and Monday at 4 o'clock and be able to vote an emergency ballot. Also, people who cannot get in because of infirmity or whatever reason can fill out a ballot application form on which they authorize someone else to pick up their ballot for them, which is standard procedure in state elections as well. And we would be able to provide them not only with the ballot, but with an oath envelope to put their ballot into afterwards so that we can verify their signature when it comes back, and then their ballot would be added to those that will be counted on the day of the referendum by the Board of Canvassers.
And Susan, those dates for which you can come in to get emergency ballots is May 31st, Wednesday, through June 5th, Monday, during the normal operations of Town Hall?
Correct, up until 4 o'clock on that Monday. That
Yep.
was the deadline cutoff.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any questions from members here? Mike, go ahead.
First for Susan, just to follow up, you had said, I think in the work session, that you require proof of ID with the application for emergency ballot.
Absolutely.
And the other question from Mike, and I realize that we've got a very limited time frame here. And under section 4222 of the charter, the only thing that's allowed are the emergency ballots. The question that occurs to me is there any chance that we run afoul of state or federal law with respect to absentees or military?
No, because we're within, number one, I believe, Susan, at the end of April, an ad went out with regard to the possibility of a referendum taking place. So the 30-day notice that's prescribed by state law has in fact been complied with. And we do that every year. just in case. So we're all set.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any other questions for the solicitor? All right, I'm just going to use this opportunity here because we are talking about it. I'm going to give my position on the budget referendum. Now, for those who've been following, the council and the school committee deliberated on the budget for several months. The final budget adoption was a 5-0 vote. So if it's not obvious, I'm going to come out and say it. I am against the budget referendum, and I hope the budget that the council enacted is the one that is successful come voting day. So that's my position. I encourage as many voters as possible to get out and go vote. Generally, low turnout happens during special elections. So tell your friends, tell people you know in town, just keep them informed. A lot of people are going to be unaware because these things happen quickly. So it's expected there'll be low turnout, but I encourage you to tell people to get out. And again, I am against the budget referendum. I am for the budget this council enacted in a 5-0 vote, and I hope that's the result come election day. So I want to make that clear now.
So I'm also going to make my position very clear. I am as well against the referendum. I think this is a budget that we worked very hard to come to. It was well thought out. The school department came to us without an ask for an increase. I understand that we need to spend smarter, but to take 1.5 million in a single school year would kneecap a district. So while I understand Mr. Beasley's concerns, this just isn't the right way to do it. And I look forward to keeping open lines of communication with my constituents, with the school committee. I can't get behind this.
Thank you, Jess.
I also would urge people to vote no on the referendum. I have only been on the council for the last 6 months, and I understand that there have been discussions going on for many years. I understand that there may be a problem with communication style, but I honestly do not believe that it is at all feasible that there's money being hidden. I don't believe the narrative that's being advanced online. I believe that we have top-notch professionals in the finance roles in both the town and the school department. These are people that have dedicated their lives to serving the public and maintaining their licenses. My father was the CFO of Centerville Bank, and he had a number of letters behind his name. And people don't risk that stuff for I don't even know what. It's not worth it. I'm abashedly pro-education. I will never, not want to do what's in the best interest of the children. And cutting 1.5 million would be absolutely devastating. So I would urge the public to vote no against the referendum.
Thank you, Patty.
I've already stated publicly, and anybody that wants to can look at the Independent or the Narragansett Times for my position. This referendum was started on a premise that the school department was somehow hiding $2.1 million surplus, which is simply not true. And at the May 8th meeting, the citizen got up and said he got a report dated May 1 from the school committee and found this $2.1 million. What was there is under the column available budget. At May 1, the fiscal year ends June 30. There's still 2 more months of the year left. There isn't a $2.1 million surplus, contrary to what the people who signed the petition and others have been told. I'm against it.
Thank you, Mike. All right, we're going to continue on with the manager's report.
Thank you again, Mr. Council President. Every town council meeting, we have an update on the school building committee, and last Saturday, they had a pretty important forum to go over what the schools could look like and so forth and so on. So Director Murray here has a couple of slides to show and just explain in this biweekly update.
Good evening, Director of Administrative Services, and more importantly tonight, the school building chair, Luke Murray. I wanted to share a little bit of the presentation. I would promise it'll be a little bit faster than we did on Saturday. But just to update you on the process, to start, we did have a meeting, a regular meeting on May 11th. At that meeting, which was short, we decided on a process to move forward with the owner's project manager selection, which will include myself, Superintendent Prince, and school committee member Kate Massananti, to vet the 4 proposals that we have, which we expect to have interviews next week. Then we'll be making a recommendation to the school building committee, which then goes on to the school committee for an award. So stay tuned for that. That'll be the person that'll be helping us, assisting us over the next few months with different aspects of the process, to include a architect selection for stage 3, to have that in waiting should we get an approved referendum in November. We did have a productive session on the 20th. I attended along with a few other members, and there were members of the school committee there as well. I thought it was a productive dialogue. What I wanted to show tonight, and actually I'd like to move these monitors. To lend a little bit of inspiration to the night, because I think that we've worked really hard to come up with a project, which is what I said to the crowd on Saturday, is what we feel is the best fit right now, right? Is it perfect? No, but I think we've really tried to take in the community input, run it through the data, and come out with a product I think is the best for most. We're never going to get the perfect. That's just a fact. Very rarely do you get there. The perfect project would cost us nothing, impact nobody, and be the perfect build in the perfect property in town. But we know that we've come up with a really good product. We feel that, and so I wanted to show a little bit tonight. What we'll also show a little bit of, if I can get this to move, is some of the polling data that we did. This was interactive. We only had 25 to 30 people attend. It was a Saturday. And obviously, these are people who are interested in the project, but we do try to solicit feedback when we can. We've had online surveys. But the one good thing, the overarching theme, is that people feel heard, and it seems like most feel like the process has been fair, and which is important to me as chair, because I know the process that came out of the previous effort that was done, and not repeating mistakes of the past. And I think we've successfully done that to date. So just to orient you from a site perspective, so you have the existing hazard field, which most know has a current restriction by the federal government, conservation restriction. And the only way for us to eliminate that restriction is to allocate a similar parcel of land in the neighborhood that has equivalent recreation value. So essentially, we can swap that land for another field, and we're proposing to do that by essentially demolishing the existing high school and moving the field on the existing high school site, and then moving the high school to the hazard field, which I'll show in a second. So just to orient you in the same direction, I'll only go back. So you have School Street to the bottom, you have Columbia Street to your left, and then you can see the big thing to focus on is that existing hazard building in the lower left-hand corner. So in looking at this image, you can see the hazard building still in that lower left-hand corner, a large building mass where the field is now, and then essentially moving the fields to the rear of the site along Columbia Street. We had about a half dozen different designs we looked at. We solicited input from the community. This is the most compact option, which means that you'll notice there's no interior courtyards to the school. There is a courtyard between the existing hazard building and the new building for student population to outdoor eating, have a gathering space. But it's a really nice, compact design. There is a 3-story component. Most of the building is between 2-story and 3-story. Again, one of our polling data, do you feel you've been heard? and we had a good response on that. Those who respond no, I'm always interested in input, and I hope they'll email me to explain why. Why don't they feel heard? So these are some images. This is an image looking from School Street, and you can see to your far left-hand is the existing Hazard building. So this would be the three-story academic core, the only three-story part of the building, and that's going to be the main tier of the building with a grand staircase going up. And again, these are conceptual images at this point. We expect that these will be tweaked throughout the process later on in the stage 3, but this gives us a good scope to work on for cost estimating and moving forward with. So this is a look between the two buildings and the start of that courtyard. This is looking from Columbia Street to the back of the building. And again, the main entry is going to be on School Street, but there will be entranceways on both sides of the building because there will be parking to the north side. This is, again, looking from the fields, the north side of the building. You can see the Rebels. That would be the gymnasium portion with a lot of natural light that would flood in there, and prospectively with a second-level track inside that gymnasium. You can see a lot of the symbology that the architect has played with, but in general, we're looking at brick, stone, accents, trying to have a little bit of a modern feel, but still bring in the traditional materials from the area. And again, this is a close-up from the fields as well. Now you can see there's a bus lane. You can see the buses in the upper left-hand corner. the Rhode Island Department of Education encourages the use of what they call chevron parking. It's a very large parking lot. You essentially park all the buses, the students get out, walk across the parking lot, and go into the school. The premise of that years ago when they came up with those design standards was that it was for air quality. But it doesn't really realize how our buses operate, which is very short-term durations. Typically, a drop-off is no more than 15 minutes. They pull up to the curb, they drop, or they pick up, and they're gone. That large pavement mass takes up a lot of the site. And so we'll be seeking a waiver to move away from the chevron parking and go to something like that exists now where they have a drop-off lane. It's something many schools have. If you look at NK, they have a very similar setup. They come, they drop, they go. They actually had chevron parking, and soon after they built, they got rid of it because of the reasons of increasing their parking yields. This is at Plaza between the two buildings, and you can see that this would be a nice performance space, eating, outdoor, dining area, and really kind of makes a nice gathering area. So again, one of our survey results, what do you think of the design approach? Again, you can see similar results. It seems like most are feeling we're doing a good job, but I'm more interested, to be honest with you, is the lower levels, like why aren't we? Why aren't we maybe living up to somebody's expectations? But I'm very aware we're never going to keep everyone happy, but we can try. We can strive to. The athletic fields. So we've presented before that we've analyzed a multitude of sites for the athletic fields, including Broad Rock. Unfortunately, Broad Rock would not work out because of the wetland area and some of the logistical challenges there. So we've primarily focused on Curtis Corner, where the existing middle school is. So you can see CCMS in the middle, the existing track and field. It's important to note that the existing track and field is partially in the wetland buffer now. Actually, half of the field is in wetland area. There's flooding there, we know it. Back when these things were built, there wasn't this level of stringent wetland standards that there are today. The building committee had the architect flag those wetlands with his sub-consultant team, and we have a better understanding of where the new buffers are, which, again, go right through that field. So anything we build, we want to be out of that. So this would be the new home of the Rebels. You can see this is a full-size football field. We're envisioning a synthetic turf-type stadium with an 8-lane track, which would make it competition level. Visitor and home spectator seating on one side of the field. Ample parking, bus drop-off, pickleball courts. Now, the pickleball and tennis courts may come later. We're really focused, if you recall, we carved out about $6 million out of the $125 million budget towards an athletic facility. And the reality is we have some tough decisions to make. Our goal is to build a very high-quality field complex, the core, So that means that there will not be a field house at this phase unless we generate funds from outside. But we have tasked the architect to come up with a box design for it so we know where it could go. What is the prospective location? How would it fit in a larger design? You can also see in the lower left-hand corner the existing admin building. Again, at this stage, we're anticipating that the admin building may stay. We have entertained looking at moving it over to the hazard building, but again, it comes down to cost and our ability to do so. So we're evaluating all that, and as time goes on, we'll come up with that decision at the appropriate time, and it's really going to be money-driven. So if we have to keep that building, it can stay with ample parking. And this is just a perspective of that same area. So you can really see how it lays out well on the site. There would be some fill in the site, but what this doesn't really show you, and we'll do a better effort moving forward, is where the existing facilities are, because I think it would lend some perspective on how far we're peeling back the site from those wetland areas. I mentioned this at the meeting on Saturday, that essentially when you build fields like this today, they're a great drainage profile because they have 18 inches to 24 inches of crushed stone because these fields drain very fast. That also can act as storage capacity for all that impervious area on the parking lot and whatnot. So instead of directing all that to the wetland area, we essentially take that stormwater runoff and divert it into the field and water quality inlets. So it gives us an opportunity to have a kind of a double win here. We got a great new facility, but we're also improving stormwater management, which I think we'd all appreciate. We have met with the Rec Commission on this, a very similar design. They haven't seen this latest iteration, but they're very favorable towards it, and we had some good feedback from them as well. So I think that's all you need to see for now of the presentation. I'll keep it short there. But we had good participation. I think we had great feedback. One thing I was clear on, and I think the council's clear on, but I want to make sure the community's clear on this. The current referendum that's coming up in a couple weeks has nothing to do with this project. And I hope that reads loud and clear, because in reading the paper, there was some sort of string together of this may impact the building project. And as the chair, I find it my responsibility to clarify information. Whatever happens with the current operational budget, and I know I'm not just speaking to you, to others, whatever happens with this operational budget really doesn't have much to do with this decision, which is going to prospectively happen in November, should the current legislation move forward, which we expect it will. There'll be a separate question. People will be given the opportunity to weigh in, and we will make sure that they have the proper information to make that decision. We don't have all that information now. Our goal over the summer is to aggregate the rest of the information, including cost, budget impacts to operational, right? Reduced footprint means operational savings. We want to have that available. What's the energy savings on the building? All of that data. So come fall, voters can be informed and know what they're voting on. So I just encourage everyone patience. The last thing I'll say is we are moving towards having a more robust website to get that information out. And our goal is to direct everyone to that single point of information always. So we're not going to be engaging in social media banter on this. The goal is to always point people back to the factual information, because as we can see, when unfactual information is put out there and bantered about, it creates a lot of erroneous dialogue. And we don't want that with this project. If people choose to vote for or against, that's on their own volition based on the information that's valid. So we'll be moving for a meeting in June 1st. Hopefully we'll have an OPM recommendation at that time, and we're continuing on. Any questions?
Thank you, Luke. Any questions for Luke?
I don't have any questions, but I'm going to excuse myself. I've got to go relieve the sitter and take care of my kiddo. Thank you guys for understanding. As I said before, if I do have to leave to relieve my sitter, if anybody would like to reach out to me, please do so. If you include your phone number in the email, I will gladly give you a call back at my earliest convenience. Appreciate it.
Just a couple of quick questions, Lou. And you don't have to go back to it, but when you were showing the descriptions for the high school, the two circular areas that were outside on the north side of the building, were those contemplated at all as outdoor learning areas?
I think right now it's open-ended, but the architect has mentioned outdoor learning areas, theatrical spaces, possible outdoor performances. We've heard a lot about the arts program. And we want to make sure, along with the auditorium, we're giving opportunities to the class to be able to be outdoors as well. So currently, what's shown is likely to be modified over time, but yes, we're thinking of all options on that.
And I know about the federal restrictions with swapping the field for where the current high school is. But is there any consideration or thought given to outdoor learning space there? I'm not even sure it could happen, but I'm wondering if you've looked at it.
Sure, in the field areas? We haven't specifically. We've been focused, I've been telling everybody, we really started at 60,000 feet. I'm about 30,000 right now. But as we drill down and I get closer, I think we're going to be looking at a lot of those detail elements. I mean, one thing that came up Saturday was green building design. And Phil from Studio Jade has done an excellent job. He engaged another firm to just look at geothermal wells and solar and other options for green building design. So all of those elements, including things like using space for outdoor learning spaces, et cetera, we're going to be continuing to drill down on. And some of this is going to happen in what's called stage 3, which, as you know, is really where the rubber meets the road, right? This is all schematic design until we are approved funds, in which case we'll be hiring an architect to really refine the design.
The only other question I have is with respect to the fields. I obviously saw that you've still got the administration building there. Is there included within that a plan for some building space for the athletes while games or whatever are going on?
So that's a good question. The answer right now is no. And that's a question that's come up also. You know, restroom facilities are pretty important when you're running games. So beyond, you know, portable restroom facilities, right now we don't have a good plan because we don't have cost data. So as we get closer, we're going to look at our options there and see what we can do. There's a lot of tough decisions that are going to need to be made through this process. That's one of them.
Thank you for all the work.
Thank you, Luke, for addressing the social media question and stating that for people to access the correct information, they should go to the website, correct? I have noticed the upgrades that you've been doing, and because of this point, I think it relates to the new APRA search tool. I don't know if it really does relate to it, but I was really excited to see that in your report, that we have a new system, the first one in the state, that will make it easier for people to find information that they're looking for online. Could you, is that
No, I
related
guess I
at
could.
all, or?
Just
Yeah.
fine with you answering. We just add the new APRA protocol to the agenda first.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Go ahead, Luke.
Okay. So I'll put on my Director of Admin Services hat here.
You're wearing a lot
So
of hats.
you are correct. So we've been working with our OpenGov portal, which is what people are familiar with for e-permitting and e-licensing. We built out a new portal for our APRAs. I think we found from the last school process, there was a point where, especially on the school side, the APRAs got overwhelming. And we wanted to make sure that these are processed in accordance with state statute and making sure we're being as responsible as possible, responsive and responsible as possible. So we have our new workflow program. You can go online, you can file online, you can request data that way. It makes it much easier for departments to respond. And when they respond and comment, you're getting those comments much quicker and those responses much quicker. We have a new APRA coordinator who is also serving as our municipal court clerk. That was part of the role when we posted that position. So we have one funnel now of information ensuring everything is going through that point, making sure everything is responded to correctly. So we've been working with the legal team at UTR. They're on board with this and part of our workflow process. So it is easier. One thing I do want to emphasize, though, I have told all the department directors, if it's in arm's reach or easy to provide, don't necessarily feel like APRA is your only route. People can come in, they can get easy documents. A lot of things are publicly available, for example, the budget or deeds, things along that way. They don't have to go through APRA. It's actually more cumbersome to wait for APRA or wait for us to provide a charge for that service or to redirect you to those publicly available sites. So I just want to make sure people are aware of all those options, but if they feel they have to do the APRA process, go on our website. They can click How Do I at the top, and it'll pull down to make an open records request, and it'll take them to the portal.
It's very user-friendly, so, I mean, it seems like a big improvement, so I think we're really fortunate to have that, and I want people to understand that it is the first in the state. It's an innovative program that we're trying here in South Kingstown because we understand, and we've heard people, so.
All right, great work, Luke, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're going to move on now to item 10, public comments, formerly known as comments from interested citizens. At this point, I invite anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on any item to come on up. We're going to limit you to 3 minutes, one time. So we ask you to think succinctly about what you want to say. If you go over, I'm going to politely ask you to conclude. And I just ask that you introduce yourself, and first come, first serve. So, Bob, welcome.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity of speaking before you this evening. My name is Bob Kells. I live at 19 Atlantic Avenue in the Matunic Village with my wife Kathleen. We've been there in that address for 20 years. Prior to that, we were 22 years in Roy Carpenter Beach, spending our summers and then returning to our home back in Providence. I'm a retired police captain from the city of Providence Police Department, having served 32 years with the Providence Police Department. Upon retiring, I was fortunate enough to be selected as chief of police in the town of Lincoln for the next 7 years. In addition, I was a member of the Rhode Island State Senate for 12 years, representing South Providence, the west end of Providence, serving that district and constituency in that district by creating legislation with the intention to improve the quality of life of families in that district, which by the way, was the poorest district in the state of Rhode Island. Today, I'm currently vice chairman of the board of directors of Rhode Island Public Transit Authority, RIPTA, for the past 3 years, with interest only for those who rely and depend on public transportation throughout the state to get to the doctors where they need to go and wish to go there on time. All of the above public service, all the above public service, federal, state, city, and town. Council President McEntee and members of the South Kingston Town Council and Town Administrator Manning. I've come here today with church members of St. Romuald's and St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church as a public service, respectfully requesting the council consideration to asphalt, pave, and repair the sidewalk in front of St. Romuald's Catholic Church located at 61 Atlantic Avenue in the Matunic Village. As you may know, St. Romuald's Chapel has been at that location since 1906 and is the chapel of the sister church, Francis Assisi, about 200 yards down the road, right there. Pastor of St. Francis Assisi and St. Romuald's Church, the Reverend Father Albert Ronaldo, who walked up from the church, is here this evening and is in support of our efforts to pave and repair the town's portion of the sidewalk in front of St. Romuald's, and has written to the council in support of this project. The dimensions of the paving we're requesting are about 90 feet long and about 10 feet wide from the stone wall of the first step of the church to the road. With the council's permission, I have prepared a number of photos of this sidewalk so that you can see firsthand how particularly safety and health unsightly hazard to the parishioners, especially the elderly, the handicapped, and those who have special needs entering and leaving the church. It also presents safety concerns to those who need the church services for weddings, funerals, community events, and meetings that attract many from our local community and others from all over South County and throughout the state and elsewhere. Local Matunic...
I don't want to interrupt you. You're a little bit over. Just want to politely ask if you...
What's that?
You're a little bit over the time limit here. Just want to politely ask you to conclude.
Okay. I have enough, about 2 more minutes. Is that okay, Mr. Chairman?
Bob, we have a lot of people in the audience tonight who wish to address a number of issues. What we can do for you is we can add this to an agenda for a subsequent meeting, give you a more adequate time to address the issue. We now have the pictures, and we could sort of have further deliberation then.
Mr. Chairman, may I have 2 more minutes?
Bob, I don't want to set a precedent at the beginning of public comment. We've kept it to 3 minutes for a while at these meetings, and I don't want to increase it this time. I think it's more adequate if we put this on as a communication item at a subsequent meeting, give you adequate time to address it. We can review the pictures and talk about potential options. Right now, this is only you getting a 3-minute segment to speak, and then we move on. So I think it's in your best interest to have this on the agenda at a subsequent meeting. Can we do that?
So that's it? I can't speak anymore? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you, I can't allow you to speak further. We got to move on. There's a lot of people in the audience who want to address a number of different issues. But I'm asking you if you're willing to put this on, to come back at the following meeting. Do you want to do that?
Okay, that's fine.
All right, let's do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Do we need to make a motion, or?
You got it, Susan? Mike, do we need to make a motion to direct that? All right, thank you, Bob. Thank you for bringing it to us, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
What's that?
Thank you for bringing this to us, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else in the audience wish to speak? I invite you to come on up.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Osborne. I'm a resident of South Kingstown, have been for almost 72 years. I would just like to encourage the voters to vote no on the referendum that is coming up in June 6th. I think it's been pretty transparent. The information given this evening from the school committee and also from the town council. And what are we doing when we take this money away? We are damaging our students. The students are the ones that are going to suffer. If anybody sat at any of the school committee meetings they've had, especially the last strategic planning meeting, and listened to about, 50 to 75 students voice their concerns of what they have in the schools, and they participated from the CCMS in South Kingstown High School. And their morale is down, their joy has been stolen, they're stressed, they're anxious, and a lot of it's been caused by COVID. And if we take this money out of the budget, we are damaging the students. They are the ones that suffer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Paula Whitford, South Kingstown. I stand here before you tonight to bring to the attention of others the work that has been done by the school committee, which are work orders of the citizens of the town for many years. Citizens will compare this committee to many past committees and still say, we are doing nothing. We have done the challenging work of closing schools and consolidations, taking 2 schools offline because we have a decline in enrollment. Laying off great teachers, finding operational savings that no one will know what will look like until we move through 23 and 24 and beyond. Your demands have been met. However, this is not enough. This may be why school choice, as I have heard this mentioned through many posts on social media, or just attach it to dismantle our public schools. This referendum that is being pushed through, if passed, will leave a mess in the wake as families move to send their children elsewhere because of a proposed program cuts. This is not a tactic. This is real. Leaving those behind whose families are less fortunate to do so, these being our underserved, low-income, special education students or families that believe in a public school system. None of this will matter, as we will always need a budget from the town, and yes, that comes from taxes being paid by our citizens, young and old. Lost my track here. I'm sorry. Okay. This deduction in the budget will not do anything to save taxes now or in the future, as the town and the taxpayers will still be responsible for paying tuition to other schools as families move their children for a lack of programs the district may be forced to cut. Programs that are needed for the well-being of our students, even those left behind. I stand behind our superintendent, who has only been here 1 year and who has been working hard to bring the district where the schools and our students need to be. However, that is a process that does not happen overnight, nor will it happen with the distrust and the divide in our community. I also stand behind our CFO, who is the best in the state and is doing an excellent job keeping our budget transparent.
Paula, you are a little bit over.
One more second, I'm almost done, thank you. And making herself available to anyone who does not understand the budget process. You should give her a call. She would explain it to you to help you understand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paula.
Hello, Christian Blaney, Wakefield. So I'm here first and foremost, would support folks just approving the existing budget, the one that was vetted and unanimously approved, and not to approve the reduction. I'm going to take this a little bit different direction because I think I'm an 8-year veteran of the war on the school system. I've got 2 kids in the school. Every year I'm here. My kids are theater and music kids. Every year we have to fight. We have to scratch and claw to keep. We actually have the best theater music teacher in the entire state, Ryan Meir, and every year he's on the chopping block. Wins awards, Grammy awards, doesn't matter. It's just that's where we are every single year. What's interesting to me is I think most everybody is missing the larger picture. We don't have a budget issue. It's not because of the school budget. They've been zero funding it for the last 4 years. What we have is we have a growth issue in South Kingstown. The reason your taxes are going up is not because of the school budget. It's because we have minuscule increases in real estate development. We have non-existent commercial development here in town, and we've got a fairly non-business friendly town. Is South Kingstown open for business is the question. That is what really needs to be changed, and I think that sort of gets addressed year after year. I was on the Affordable Housing Committee for 4 years. We have a wonderful town comprehensive plan that has guidelines that will allow us to grow in a measured way, right? The way that we want to grow. We won't Warwick South Kingstown. I hate that term. We hear that all the time. Those are the people that don't want to develop anything. It'll allow us to do what we need to do, but we have to increase the tax basis here. We have to. This town has not been growing. If you look back to 2019, the increase in revenue is essentially just from the taxes that have been raised. It's not from development. I feel like the communities, they fight tooth and nail against any development. Really, you folks, and I was hoping to have all 5 of you, but I got the power trio here. I got Rush, the Beastie Boys, whatever you guys want to call yourselves. You guys are the ones that have to blaze the trail here. You 5 were all overwhelmingly voted into office. You know, the number 6 person was 1,000 votes below you guys. It's going to take leadership from this town council to turn to the planning department and the zoning board and say, here's what we need to do. And we need deliverables and we need deadlines for it. We have a comprehensive plan ready to go. You've got developers that are ready to build here and ready to do things. But right now, the reputation is they'd rather not, because they'd rather not deal with it. Some great examples of some things that can be done is I own one of those pieces of property in town with a former owner. It was 2 lots, and sometime in the 90s, they erased the line on us. Let us have that line back. I'd be more than happy to hire DeStefano Brothers to build a house, and now we've got another unit for taxes. So anyway, I implore that you please consider that, take a leadership role, and let's increase the tax basis. And let's grow this town.
Thank you. All right, anyone else in the audience wish to come on up? Bob, come on up.
Bob Traeger, Succotash Road, South Kingstown, beautiful place. Caught my first fish today. Oh, first fishing day. Was a 2-pounder too. Well, this is, believe it or not, these meetings, why does a guy like me come? I don't have a lot of credentials, you know. I was in education until I retired from school system and everything, but ran a business for 43 years. I'll take that back. My wife ran the business for 43 years. I helped her out, you know. And as I said before many times, we're in a great place. There's so many things going on right now that are needing attention in this country and this world, but I know we can't. That's why I like to come to, because this is kind of the beginning place where you guys, the decision, help to make important decisions. So I'm gonna, like I said, there's no way. I don't want to get up here and give a speech about any particular thing. We have a problem with power in the country. We have a problem with your presentation of the needs and what we try to do to help the youth of our country. The most important thing that we can do is provide services to the young people that are, I've got one young one in South Kingston now in elementary school. The other ones are all graduated. A couple of them went to college. But services are not just biology, physics. As has been mentioned many times in the news lately, we've given up on civics, I guess, in this country. And boy, the results of giving up on civics is out. It's right in our face. People don't know anything about how the country is run. They don't know anything. When I say they don't, many people don't. And I include myself in that, and I listen to a lot of stuff. It's mainly C-SPAN, it's mainly public television, and I listen to authors talk about what they do and everything else. But I'm just going to focus on this one point, and I'm going to say one more thing after it.
All right, Bob, just want to let you know you are at the limit. So if
how much do I have? I have 30 seconds?
You're over it, but we'll give you a little.
I'm over it?
Politely conclude.
Okay, I hope you watched 60 Minutes and saw what we pay for in our Eisenhower had it, the military-industry complex. Companies are charging for one item that they would make a profit if they charged $300 and change for it. Instead of that, they're charging $10,000. That's just one minute part of our problem. We got the money, we've got the intelligence, we got everything, but we don't have the will to do it.
Thank you.
Jim O'Neill, Wakefield. I'm a taxpayer, and when I collected signatures to lower this school budget by $1.5 million, everyone I talked to felt as though they weren't feeling the support from the town council. I got 110 of them. No one was happy. I covered the street, so I had a mixture of people. So I just want to give you a few examples of why I'm upset. I think everyone should be upset about. Over the last 22 years, we've dropped 1,874 kids from the high. 7 schools remain opened. Yes, we closed South Road with 300. We opened Broad Rock with 600. So this ensuing 20 years, we didn't close any schools. That meant staffing, and staffing, it was a gold mine for staffing. And until this year, we're closing Wakefield and Curtis Corner, tens of millions of dollars. You can do the arithmetic. You can go back and look at the budgets. It's always arithmetic. Governor Raimondo, when she was treasurer, came in as governor. She panicked because everyone was giving away huge percentage increases in the pension contributions, so on and so forth. A lot of people lost jobs. COLAs were taken away, extension of time they had to work. Terrible when spending gets out of control. Again, arithmetic. But Deborah Gist, when she came down here, head of RIDE, the Rhode Island Department of Education, she said, you guys are going to get clobbered when the funding comes into effect. Boy, was she right. We had $10.5 million of our own money that we got in fiscal year 2007. We're down to $5.2 million now, half. She simply confirmed at that time that our spending was out of control with the number of students that we lost. Again, arithmetic. So I took a step back. I said, geez, there's something more going on here. So bear with me here. And with further conversations with the signature folks, it is about the high school. And I appreciate the hard work being done here, and the presentation tonight was excellent. A lot of folks were upset that they didn't have a choice between new and renovate, the costs, number of people. So I looked at this, I said, gee, 4 years of level funding. Is there another motive here? So I looked back at the finance officer, the numbers he put together on a $125 million bond, 20 years, 4.25%. It's a total cost of $108 million to the South Kingstown taxpayers, 5.438 annually. Now, this is why this decrease of $1.5 million, a lot of people were talking about. They said, what a great way to offset the $108 million cost.
You are over. Just want to politely ask you to wrap it up.
Yeah, well, this is usual. But anyway, to offset the $108 million cost, 20 years of this reduction lowers that $108 million by $30 million. And this is what people are talking about. And that is going to come as a time bomb in 3 or 4 years with a 10% tax increase. All right, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Sherry Thompson. I'm a resident and a taxpayer in Wakefield. I just ask everybody, you can flip and spin numbers any way you want, but I just encourage people to vote no to decreasing the budget. I have 2 kids that are in athletics at South Kingstown High School. If I didn't have kids, I'd still ask people to search deep in their hearts and do what's right for these kids. These kids need athletics, they need sports, they need the arts programs, they need music. They're children. Like, we need to give these programs to them. They deserve them. And to take anything away from them is just horrible. It's heartless. Like, I don't understand why this town has gotten to this point. Thank you for your time.
Thank
you. All right, anyone else in the audience wish to speak?
Brett Harrington, Wakefield. I also
receive signatures as well. We need to reduce this budget. We can kick the numbers around all we want, but the numbers are the numbers. Enrollment is down. We close schools down. Where's the savings? It's as simple as that. It's simple math. What I've seen in the small time that I've been in this town, and this isn't the only town obviously I've lived in, when I see council and school committees, I don't really see a unified working together. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure you can't go to a school committee meeting and stand like I am right now making public comment. So I ask the voters to get to the polls, reduce this budget, and this is your only voice, your only voice. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else wish to come on up?
Hi, Elizabeth Nestor, Wakefield resident. It does say 5 minutes in the, in the agenda, but I think I've gotten this down to 3. Level funding the schools, as we are doing this year for the 4th year in a row, has been, in fact, an effective 14% reduction. Inflation was 1.23% the first year of that policy, 4.7% in 2021, 8% in 2022. I'll tell you one thing that has not gone up that much, and that's your South Kingstown tax bill. You can thank the town manager for strong work to help with that, and you can also thank the school department for bearing the brunt of the cost. School costs, as predicted, have gone down this year because of closures, and that final figure in the budget for this year is known right now. But for anyone to say that these savings were hidden from us, or that there is a slush fund somewhere in the budget, that person is being disingenuous because all of that has been explained here before. I'm a pretty casual observer of town matters, and even I know that. So the school is once again, the town is once again paying for thousands of dollars for a referendum to satisfy the wishes of a small percent of town voters who are happier to see conspiracy than they might be to see cooperation and confidence in our schools and trust in our elected and appointed leaders. The only way to achieve the savings that have been proposed in this referendum is by cutting programs which nationally have been shown to help children learn and achieve. We can't cut out energy for heat. We can't cut out the lights. We can't cut paper or tablets or food. There are only so many things that can be cut. And at an inflation influence 14% down already, there's not an awful lot left available, let alone the fact that the $25 million that we will eventually need for safety repairs to the building are now perhaps expected to come out of the school budget. The letter that was circulated to the town calling for a referendum contained many obvious falsehoods, even for a casual observer such as myself. For example, the statement that we pay $10,000 more per pupil than East Greenwich or Barrington does. We list $22,613 per pupil, less than Newport or Westerly or Narragansett, but not by much. A bit more than Warwick by about $200. It is more than Barrington or East Greenwich, who may or may not report grant funding the way we do, but you have to add the difference between us and those two towns together to get to over $10,000. It's just not true. That's it, huh? Okay, sorry. I'm just going to say it's not right. I'm concerned about the falsehoods that get said here that aren't challenged. So the people sitting in this room do understand what's going on, but the people at home may not. But I understand you disagree.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On that note, I want to correct the record in a comment that was just made that was not correct. I served on the school committee, and there are plenty of opportunities for public comment at those meetings.
Thank you, Mike. Kate?
Kate Massananti, Kingston resident, South Kingstown School Committee member. Thank you, Mike, for clarifying that. I'd like to invite you, actually, to come. We have a meeting tomorrow, 7 o'clock start. The referendum is on the agenda, and we do have public comment. We can't add items to the agenda, a little bit different from the town council, but that item happens to be on the agenda. I'm not going to speak for my 3 minutes because I have a meeting tomorrow and I get to speak then, but I do want to thank you for your support. We went through 4 months of often tumultuous meetings over our budget. We didn't always agree, but by the end of it, hashing it out, we came to a unanimous decision. So I appreciate the support to approve the town council appropriation that passed back in April. And I would like to thank the folks who've come here and called out a few inconsistencies. First and foremost, the $2.1 million surplus. Not a surplus, like you said, Mike, available to the date. Today is May 22nd. We're already down to $1.35 million. And it will go on and on until June 30th. So again, appreciate the support, and I hope we get to see some folks tomorrow night, and they can come up and have their public comment then.
Hey, what time is the meeting and where is it?
The open session starts at 7 at the South Kingstown High School cafeteria.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. All right, anyone else in the audience wish to speak? I invite you to just come on up.
My name is Doral Beasley, and I'm the person who drafted the referendum. Before I start, since my name has come up tonight in this discussion, Mr. Prince mentioned my name, and he ran out. I guess he didn't want to hear what I had to say, but my name has been bantered about, and I think it's unfair and it's unwarranted. And what I'd first like to do is, this is the email that Mr. Prince sent to you on May 15th. And I'd like to have it read into the record, read out loud.
Or it's an attachment to the agenda. It can be read by anyone
Excuse
who
me?
wishes to go to the agenda and find it.
No, I'm going to read it out loud.
We're not going to afford you the time to do that. No. It's on the agenda. People can access it. They go to it. They can click on it. And use the time to say whatever else you wish to say.
Why did I do the referendum? Because this town council and for 20 years before this one, 21 years in a row, our enrollment has gone down, and the state law that's listed on my referendum allows a town council to reduce the amount of money that goes to a school district using a per pupil basis. That's why I did it. So I'm doing your job now. The amount of money that was calculated by the town's budget director was $2.1 million, and I picked 1.5, so I didn't pick the full amount. Our $28,000 per student, Mike, you don't know what you're talking about, okay? You can shake your head all you want, but you're wrong.
Anybody who wants can check the Department of Education, and it says 22 for the last available year, comparing town to town.
Yeah, okay.
You can do whatever
It's
you want.
28,000, and if this referendum doesn't pass, it'll be 28.5 in the fall. You'll find out that 2 years from now when the numbers come out, but they're easily calculated. The residents of this town for the past 20 years, we've paid the freight for our school district. The biggest takeaway,
Well, that's it. I'll give you a few seconds to conclude. Want to take it, or we'll move on?
Can I ask you a question, sir?
Joel, your time is up.
Can I ask you a question?
We're not doing a Q&A at this moment, so we're not going to take or entertain your question.
Tomorrow night, if you go to the school committee meeting, ask them if they took $2 million that's in this year's budget, they're holding it, and they're going to put it in next year's budget.
All right, we're moving on, Doral. Come on up, Carol.
Carol Vetter, Wakefield, South Kingstown. I just want to put a couple things to rest. First of all, Mr. Silva's analysis was a beginning of a maintenance of effort analysis. Then you have to take in the basic education plan. You have to take in the other various maintenance of effort that also goes into that calculation. That includes a 3% maintenance of effort in building maintenance and maintenance of effort in special education, where we're not allowed to reduce the budget from one year to another in special education. So that 2.1 million or whatever Mr. Beasley was talking about, that's the beginning of a calculation that once you look at all the other components, you are not left with $2 million. That's just simply false. The other thing is that we are not hiding $2 million this year to put into next year's. There's just nothing that points to that. Our CFO will go over the numbers. We have everything on our website. Go to the district website. The budget documents are there. There is a 6-year comparison where you can see over 6 years. And every year, the last 4 numbers are all the same for the appropriation from the town. Our budget have gone up because of increases from federal and state aid. However, next year it's actually $900,000 less. Our budget is less for next year than it is currently. And we have $500,000 more that is in the governor's budget from the state, but the legislature still hasn't acted. We don't know what we're going to get. The funding formula, the governor's budget made changes that were favorable to us. The likelihood of those staying in is very small. So our budget will probably go down. That state aid, that 500,000 increase, will likely not stay there, which means the budget that we already have, we will have to reduce it anyway. So if you take that money away and 1.5 million, you're going to devastate programs. We have made all the cuts because and yes, maybe they should have been done sooner. But the school committee that you have right now are acting to do it, to save the taxpayer money, all those operational costs. We're doing the hard work. But if the state continues to cut the aid they give us, and if we take another 1.5, we're just hurting our students. So anyway, but I do want to thank you for your support. That is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Carol, I want to really thank you, and I want to just really applaud you for being a real professional, and I also want people to know that you're highly qualified at doing all of this stuff, and you receive the most votes out of anybody because people trust you, and they know that you can take what you say to the bank. There's not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that you know what you're talking about. So I just want to say that.
Patty. All right, anyone else in the audience wish to speak? All right, seeing none, we're going to move on. Next on the agenda, we have communications. Item A is a letter dated April 27, 2023, from Deb Carney, Charlestown Town Council President, and Jeff Broadhead, volunteer, requesting the appointment of a town council member to the Washington County Regional Planning Council. Mike Marion, this is something you've expressed interest in, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I've had a couple of conversations with Jeff Broadhead. This organization has been somewhat dormant for the last several years, but I think there are opportunities here for the various towns in Washington County to work together on regional planning, trying to save some money, working together where we can. And one particular focus that I'd like us to pursue is trying to get grant money for the town of South Kingstown under the Inflation Reduction Act. There's a specific provision setting aside over $1 billion for coastal cities and towns to deal with infrastructure related to climate change. And I think we may have a better shot at gathering up some of those funds for South Kingstown through group effort. I've already had a couple of conversations with representatives from Block Island, Richmond, and Charlestown, and I think we have an opportunity here.
All right. I'll make a motion to appoint Mike Marin to the Washington County Regional Planning Council.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. All right, that passes. All right, that's going to bring us to item C here, a resolution adopted May 8, 2023 by the Tiverton Town Council seeking support for their request that the General Assembly and the Governor reinstate general revenue sharing for Rhode Island municipalities. Jim Manny, if you want to just sort of brief us on this one quickly.
Yes, Council President. This is a resolution adopted by the town of Tiverton, Rhode Island, requesting some support from South Kingston Town Council and Town of South Kingston. Whereas, in a synopsis, they're stating that the state of Rhode Island has benefited from a rebound with all the money that came in from the federal government, and is approximately $600 million surplus for 2023, and that in years past, funding for almost all the cities and towns has been cut. So they're requesting that that the Rhode Island General Assembly and the Governor reinstate some general revenue sharing for all 39 cities and towns to help with the reduce of inflation that we've all seen the past year.
And Jim, would this benefit the town of SK?
Well, it's just supporting a resolution that we would request this, whether this goes through the General Assembly or not, is, you know.
Right. Any thoughts on this?
I read the resolution from the town of Tiverton. I frankly think it would be beneficial to South Kingstown if we got it. Whether or not it's viable at the General Assembly or not, I don't know, but I'd be willing to move that we adopt a resolution mirroring what Tiverton said, Tiverton Town Council said in its resolution, and ask that it be forwarded on to the General Assembly.
All right.
I would definitely like to get any revenue sharing dollars that we could. I'd be very much in favor of that.
All right. Mike, I think yours was a motion.
Yep.
Mine was the second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, that passes. All right, that's going to bring us to the end here.
I have a couple of things that I would like to do. First of all, I would really like to congratulate Rory for graduating law school with honors, too. Did it? Yay. And the second thing is I would like to recognize and honor the passage of Anna Prager, who was a former town planner and town council member in South Kingstown, as well as a former board chairman of the Rhode Island Public Transit Authority. And she died on May 6th at the age of 87. She did a lot for the town, so it would be nice if we could maybe send her family a
Sort of a recognition and some flowers, thanking her for her past service to the town.
or like just like a thing for her family, maybe. Yeah. Flowers, I mean, plant.
All right. Got that? Cool. All right, thank you, Patty. That's going to bring us to the end here. So thank you, everyone, for coming. Don't forget to vote in the special election, June 6th. It's going to be at the Rec Center. Tell everyone you know. We want
8
a
to
high turnout.
8.
8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And there is emergency voting at Town Hall from Wednesday, May 31st, through Monday, June 5th, 4 p.m. deadline. Go ahead, Mike.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No, this meeting is adjourned.